Sri Dakshinamurthy Stotram. This hymn is composed by Adi Sankara. As most of us are aware, Adi Sankara is the proponent of the Advaita system of philosophy. The popularity of this hymn is not merely due to its poetic style, but also because it brings about this philosophy briefly and effectively. Guru occupies a very important place in Hindu way of life. Hindu tradition gives a place of high esteem to a guru. The word guru cannot be easily translated, though roughly it may be said that the word represents a teacher. Dakshinamurthy is a form of Lord Shiva, where he is stated to have manifested as a young boy, imparting spiritual wisdom to the aged disciples. The meditation verse is quite interesting, as it depicts very aged sages as being students of a young Dakshinamurthy. The old age of the sages denotes their long journey towards attaining liberation, and the youth of Dakshinamurthy depicts his immortality in spite of being in a human form. Another interesting aspect is that he conveyed the supreme truth through silence. It is said that the sons of Brahma, namely Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana, and Sanatkumara, who were all well versed in the Vedas, wanted to gain knowledge about the supreme Brahman and the means to attain him. And Lord Shiva, as Dakshinamurthy, imparted to them the knowledge that they sought. This divine form of Lord Shiva is the personification of all types of knowledge and symbolizes awareness, understanding, and wisdom. The name Dakshinamurthy can be broken into Dakshina, which means south, and Murti, which means deity. Thus, it is considered that Dakshinamurthy is the deity who faces the south direction while imparting knowledge. The deity of the south is Yama, the god of death, who brings death and destruction at the appropriate time and hence represents mortality. And Dakshinamurthy, who faces the south and imparts the knowledge of the self, represents immortality. The name Dakshinamurthy can also be understood in another way. It can be broken into Dakshina and Amurti. Dakshina here means a person who has a skill and competency, and Amurti means formless. This would mean that he who is competent to create, sustain, and dissolve this universe is a formless one. The substance conveyed by Adi Sankara in this hymn may be summarized somewhat as follows. The supreme Brahman is the truth. That is what we call God. It is the one without a second. It is the only reality. What is this universe? It is like the reflection of a mirror. It is the projection of Brahman. Prior to its projection, this universe was present in Brahman in an unmanifested way, like a tree in a seed. This unmanifested form gets manifested in various forms by the will of this Supreme Brahman. The unreal universe appears to be real and multiform through the power of Maya. It is difficult to explain the concept of Maya, but it can be roughly translated as delusion. In fact, Brahman is the indwelling spirit in every being and is known as Atman. The Vedic statement says Tattvamasi, meaning you are that. Just as light emanates from a pot with holes wherein a lamp is kept, the light of the Brahman gleams through the senses of every being. The indwelling spirit exists as pure being, even though unrecognized due to the wheel of Maya. This indwelling spirit is changeless throughout the various states of the human being. The body may change from that of a child to an adult to an old age. The mind may be in a state of waking, dreaming, and deep sleep state. But this spirit remains changeless. Just as the brilliance of the sun exists even when intercepted by the planet Rahu during eclipse, this indwelling spirit remains though clouded by Maya. A person on awakening becomes aware that he was asleep earlier and that whatever dreams which he had were unreal. Similarly, a person who awakens to the consciousness of the self recognizes his previous state of ignorance as unreal. The power of cognition of this spirit remains suspended during deep sleep state. The identity of the Brahman and the Atman will be apparent after self-illumination. He who destroys this delusion caused by Maya and makes us aware of this indwelling spirit is Dakshinamurthy, who is embodied in the auspicious Guru. The practice of Vedanta is to get rid of ignorance by exercising the will over attachment to the unreal and by overcoming fear and anxiety by finding the bliss in the eternal. The sadhaka, namely the aspirant, is often aided by a teacher who is self-realized, and the aspirant follows the teachings of this Guru, whom he or she considers to be an embodiment of God. The embodiment of Dakshinamurthy in the Guru, by whose grace and grace alone the illumination becomes apparent, is saluted in the fourth line of each sloka in this hymn. Om Maunavyakya Prakatita Para Brahma Tattvam Yuvanam Varsishtante Vasat Rishiganaihi Avritam Brahmanishthai Acharyendram Karakalita Chinmudram Anandamurtim Swatma Ramam Mudita Vadanam Dakshinamurti Mide. वटविटपि समीपे भूमिभाजे निषन्नं सकलमुनिजनानां ज्ञानदातारमाराते त्रिभुवनगुरुमीशं दक्षिणामूर्तिदेवं जननमरणदुःख छेददक्षं नमामि। चित्रं वटतरोर्मूले वृद्धा शिष्या गुरुर्युवा गुरोस्तु मौनं व्याख्यानं शिष्यास्तु छिन्नसंशया निधये सर्वविद्यानां विषजे भवरोगिणां गुरवे सर्वलोकानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ नमः प्रणवार्थाय शुद्धज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशान्ताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। चिद्घनाय महेशाय वटमूलनिवासिने सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ईश्वर गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेद विभाजिने व्योमवद् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यं निजान्तर्गतम् पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोत् भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयम् तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः। इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतम् मायाविव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायुजीव यस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः। इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये यस्यैव स्फुरणं सदात्मकम् असत्कल्पार्थकं भासते साक्षात् तत्त्वमसीति वेदवचसा यो बोधयत्याश्रितान् यस्साक्षात्करणात् भवेन्न पुनरावृत्तिर्भवाम्भोनिधौ तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः। इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नानाचित्रघटोदरस्थितमहाधिपप्रभाभास्वरम् ज्ञानं यस्य तु चक्षुरादिकरणद्वारा बहिस्पन्दते जानामीति तमेव भान्तमनुभात् यदत् समस्तं जगत् तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः। इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। देहं प्राणमपीन्द्रियाण्यपि चलाम् बुद्धिं च शून्यं विदुः श्रीबालान्दजटोपमास्त्वहमिति भ्रान्ता वृषंवादिनः। मायाशक्तिविलासकल्पितमहा व्यामोहसंहारिणे तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। राहुग्रस्तदिवाकरेन्दुसदृशो मया समाच्छादनात् सन्मात्रकरणोपसंहरणतो यो भूत् सुषुप्तः पुमान्। प्रागस्वाप्तमिति प्रबोधसमये यत्प्रत्यभिज्ञायते तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। बाल्यादिष्वपि जाग्रदादिषु तथा सर्वास्वस्थास्वपि व्यावृत्तास्वनुवर्तमानमहमिति अन्तःस्फुरन्तं सदा स्वात्मानं प्रकटीकरोति भजतां यो मुद्रया भद्रया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। विश्वं पश्यति कार्यकारणतया स्वस्वामि सम्बन्धतः शिष्याचार्यतया तथैव पितृपुत्रात्यात्मना भेदतः। स्वप्ने जाग्रति वाय एष पुरुषो मया परिभ्रामितः तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। भुरम्बांस्यनलो निलोऽम्बरमहर् नथो हिमांशुः पुमान् इत्याभाति चराचरात्मकमिदं यस्यैव मूर्त्यष्टकम् नान्यत्किञ्चन विद्यते विमृशतां यस्मात् परस्मात् विभोः तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। सर्वात्मत्वमिति स्फुटीकृतमिदं यस्मादमुष्मिन् स्थवे तेनास्य श्रवणात् तदर्थमननात् ध्यानाश्च संकीर्तनात् सर्वात्मत्वमहाविभूतिसहितं स्यादीश्वरत्वं स्वतः सिद्ध्येत्तत् पुनरष्टधा परिणतं च ऐश्वर्यमव्याहतम्।